Hey everybody, welcome back to SaaS Founder Stories. I got Waleed Shaarani with Spiky.ai today. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, how you doing, David?
I'm doing wonderful. Have an amazing
Awesome.
day. Let's kick it off. So tell me a little bit about Spiky.ai. What is it? What do you do? And then we'll jump into some deep questions and you can teach us a little bit about what you guys are doing.
Sure, absolutely. So Spiky is really focused on fundamentally changing the way sales teams think about their sales process. So if you want to imagine that, we're providing real-time insights, allowing you to hit 100% of your sales qualifications, sales playbooks, and really better handle objections on calls. So in a nutshell, we're basically helping you scale behaviors that win deals and increase revenue. Um, Spiky was initially built with the purpose of providing communication insights into a remote work environment, and that was during 2022. And this pivoted into the one vertical that has constant communication, which is sales. If we can provide insights into winning behaviors for the sales team to increase the revenue, what's to stop us from doing the same for others? So that's a little bit about what we're doing.
Very cool. I want to ask you a bunch of questions around like how you pivoted. Maybe we'll get to that at the end.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about it because I think Brock and I talked about it when I was chatting with him in San Francisco. And I thought it was really cool. But tell me a little bit about who's your ICP and ideal customer profile, and where do you find them?
So I would say that our ICP is bucketed into two categories. We have the leadership level ICP, so that's like sales leaders, VP of sales, sales managers, directors, CROs in the SMB space. Right now, we're not going after the big enterprise companies. They already have, the brand household items. So we're going after kind of the small to medium sized businesses and then working our way up the vertical. So we're targeting those leadership positions and then also the individual contributors. So AEs, SDRs, basically anyone with boots on the ground. We help them assist, in making sure that they're executing their sales playbooks and really automating the non-revenue generating tasks for them, like emails, CRM updates, and basically providing them with like an endless feedback loop of sales insights from historical deals, so that they can focus on what they're doing best, which is selling more, and selling better. So yeah, I would say those two main buckets: the sales leaders, and then the ones that have boots on the ground, like the individual contributors.
Do you have a different process to go, like if you're going after the manager versus the boots on the ground person? Do you have a different sales motion for them?
It's typically the same sales motion, but it's different messaging. So for a individual contributor, they find value in our product because it allows them to do their job and kind of like push the deals closer to closing better. In terms of like a sales leader, it's more like, hey, you need to get some visibility and better forecasting into your team. Um, we have all of that data because your individual contributors will be able to use Spikey and basically build upon their conversations and improve their deals. But at the same time, you can see aggregated level data on all of that to understand at a high level, hey, where does my team need help? Where can I assist? Where are the winning behaviors happening? And how can I scale that across the team to kind of like make it a well-oiled machine?
Very cool. And I should put in a note, we actually do use Spikey at ArcheoAI. So just there's your product plug for you
There
on
you
who
go.
your ideal customer profile is. Cool, man. So let's jump into what's the biggest challenge you guys have overcome in the last 6 months, and how did you do it? Teach us.
Yeah, it was a really interesting challenge and it was challenging, but I feel like we've made a lot of progress there. So basically, everyone in our space is solving the same problem the same way. And sometimes this doesn't lead to anything and actually can create even more problems. And it was just not working. So we were stuck in the same situation. We were not fully differentiated and we were providing kind of the same basic results as our competitors. So we had to figure out a way to solve it differently that yielded more optimal results for the market. So what we did is kind of we went back to the drawing board. We interviewed over 1,000 salespeople over the past 6 months and identified their challenges, what they're doing to solve them, and what is not working. And the two insights that we discovered was that only 2% of meeting reports and notes are ever reviewed, and only 4% of CRM data is ever filled out. So it's pretty obvious that the current solutions were not working, and we had to figure out a way to solve this. And we used this information to really build out game-changing features that solve these challenges, and something the industry has never seen before. And I can go into those features later, but yeah, that's kind of like our approach and what we did to look at those challenges.
So we can go into those features, but first I want to kind of dig into like the process. Like that's a Herculean effort talking to that many salespeople.
Yeah.
So let's break it down. How did you decide to do that, first of all? And then how did you do it? And how did you manage that much information coming in? I suspect you recorded them in Spiky, but yeah, walk us through, because imagine that I want to do the same thing for something that I'm doing. I'm a SaaS founder. I realize I'm in the same situation where I don't have product differentiation. I'm competing against huge amounts of other companies.
Yeah.
Tell me what I need to do and how to do it and how you guys did it.
Yeah, so I would not be afraid of reaching out to people and understanding their challenges and the solutions that they're using to solve those challenges. I basically reached out to a bunch of sales leaders, individual contributors in the space, saying, "Hey, I love what you're doing at your company, and I want to learn more about how your guys' sales process looks like. What are your guys' biggest pain points? What are you guys doing to solve those things?" So it was a lot of like customer interviews. So basically, it was myself and the founders hopping on calls. We're having like 10 calls a day. And basically, in those calls, we're just discovering, what they're using, the tools that they're using, and what's not working. And as we spoke about Spiky in those meetings, we noticed that there was kind of like this overarching theme that people were not kind of seeing the difference in Spiky and what we were providing versus other competitors. And they're already not satisfied with, the other tools in the market. So you're like, okay, what's going on? Let's dive deeper into those problems. So that's where we kind of discovered like across the board, those 2 points that I just talked about, CRM hygiene, and then people not going back into calls and reviewing because they essentially just don't have the time, especially when you're a salesperson and you have 10 meetings in the day. Your day is done at the end. You don't have the time to review those calls. And as a leader, you don't have the time to review 10 calls per person on a 20-person team, right? So those were like the two insights that we discovered. And I think kind of the takeaway here is to just like research, which is like getting those conversation, analyzing. We use Spiky to understand across the board at an aggregated level what was the pain points and challenges, and then the third part is really understanding the pain point. Basically, we understood what happened, and we used that to build out our game-changing features.
Very cool. So for you guys, so process, figured out who you actually wanted to target, first of all, set up those calls, just whole team went at calling them, recorded them obviously in Spiky so that you had all that data. And then once you had that, what was the next step in actually going, like using that information to be able to start figuring out where you were going to go and how you're going to change?
Yeah, so let me clarify your question. So after we had those conversations and we had those insights, you're asking like, what did we do to kind of what were like key learnings from the experience, or
Well, more like, so like, I'm imagining that you did all, like you guys worked on that project quite a bit to gather have all those conversations, I'll say.
yeah.
once you had those conversations and you figured out, hey, these are the two big things that we're seeing, right, with data hygiene, and that there's a huge problem with people not actually review, like we're recording, but nobody's really listening to it because it takes just as much time to listen to it as it does to record it. Once you had that as a base to go from, what was your next steps? How did you figure out where you guys were going next?
Yeah, so basically, we took all this information and we went back to the team and we were like, "Hey guys, this is kind of what we've been hearing from the conversations, and um, we have already some feature sets that are differentiated in a way to our competitors, but we're basically all solving the same problem, but it's not optimal. So what do we need to do to release to the market to help solve these problems?" So after meeting with the team, we decided to, and after this was a number of weeks of brainstorming and going back between iterations and product development and things like that, um, we came to kind of the conclusion that um, there's just no time for a sales team to really go back and review these things and update these things. So what do we want to focus on to help um, these sales teams execute? And basically, what better way, or what things do we do to help a person execute is we don't want them spending time on the robotic stuff, so administrative tasks. We don't want them wasting their time on call reviews. So what can Spiky do to help save them time in those areas? And then we tied those areas back to where can we automate this? And then where can we meet them in the moment to help them get those insights? So rather than after the fact reviewing of calls, how can we get those insights to them in the moment, in real time, within their conversations? So that way they can execute in real time rather than after the fact. So we're essentially solving those two problems at the same time by the automation piece and then also the real time piece.
Very cool. And so what was the end result? What were the big changes?
Yeah, it was really, really good. I can give you a use case. So one of our biggest customers was struggling with onboarding new reps. It was very slow and was a bottleneck for revenue growth. Their CRM had completely disparate information. It led to a lot of poor forecasting and reporting by their analytical team. And there was poor visibility for the executive leadership. They had no idea how deals or conversations were going. And basically, they used Spiky to help their new reps close more deals. So after onboarding Spiky, they saw about a 20% increase in closure rates because
Hmm.
of the training and the material they had at their disposal from our snippets and our knowledge library. They were
Very
able
cool.
to save the best examples from deals and conversations and share this across the team and learn on it and even execute on it. On the kind of like helping the operational side of things, the AutoSync CRM feature, where basically Spiky is able to track everything that was said in the conversation and populate the CRM automatically for you within that opportunity, helped lead to a 58% increase in forecasting accuracy because they have all of that accurate information in their CRM. Overall, the team was able to close about 30% more deals, if I recall correctly, and increase their revenue by around 60% in quarter two.
That's amazing.
Leadership had the necessary visibility and tools that they needed to guide and advise their team on the deals. And the individual contributors were able to get those instant sales insights and handle the objections on the spot and basically repeat the winning behaviors that they had.
Very cool, man. So,
Yeah.
for you going forward, what's the one thing that our network can help you with over the next 6 months?
Yeah. We're still open to taking those customer conversations. One of the biggest thing I think from like this learning experience and overcoming that challenge was that it's important to keep pivoting and iterating and actively listening at the same time. So I think those were the single most important things that are leading to our success. So if we keep our ears to the market and understanding people's pain points, and those pain points are always changing. The challenges 20 years ago versus today are completely different. And I think today versus 20 years later is going to be completely different as well. So actively taking these conversations and understanding and pivoting the features to kind of like solve those challenges for those people, I think would be a huge plus. So any intros or anything like that to the network would be amazing.
Awesome, man. Okay, well, thank you very much for coming on, and you have an amazing day.
Thank you so much, David. It was great chatting with you.
Bye bye.